Right now, a new reality is forming in the mobile technology market. And at the center of this shift more and more often is Samsung. Just a few years ago, foldable smartphones were perceived as an expensive experiment and a niche story for enthusiasts. But today, the situation has changed dramatically. Samsung has not just stayed in the game, it has become its main architect. The company is consistently developing its lineup of foldable devices, bringing the technology to a mass level and, in essence, shaping a new standard of what a smartphone can be in the coming years. If you look at the current market, it becomes obvious that Samsung is setting the pace. Devices like Samsung Galaxy Z Fold have long stopped being something exotic. They are used for work, content, and everyday life. And most importantly, they have shown that a flexible screen can be not just a feature, but a real advantage. But the company did not stop there. According to insider information, Samsung is actively testing more complex designs, and one of the most discussed developments is the so-called Trifold smartphone, which has literally exploded interest in a new category of devices. This format is no longer just a phone that unfolds, it is a device that changes the very usage scenario. In the folded state, it is a compact smartphone. In a semi-unfolded state, a work tool. Fully unfolded, it is practically a tablet. And this is where things get really interesting, because according to leaks and analytical reports, inside Samsung work is already underway on the next step. And this step may turn out to be far more radical than anything we have seen before. We are talking about the concept of a four-fold device, a smartphone that will fold not into 2 or even 3, but into 4 segments. This means more hinges, more flexibility, and a completely new level of device transformation. In the unfolded state, such a gadget will be able to turn into a complete large screen comparable to a tablet or even a small laptop. And if Trifold already looks like a device from the future, then Four-fold is the next leap that could completely change the market. In essence, Samsung is now moving toward the idea of one universal device, a device that will replace several categories at once: a phone, a tablet, and possibly even part of the functions of a laptop. And this is not just imagination, it is the logical development of technology. The larger the screen becomes, the more tasks it can handle. And the flexible design allows it to maintain mobility. Insiders claim that inside the company, prototypes with multiple hinges and new types of displays are already being tested. The main challenge here is not just to create a screen that folds. The main challenge is to make it reliable, because with each new bend, the load on materials increases. Questions arise about durability, device thickness, weight, and of course cost. But Samsung has already proven that it knows how to solve such problems. It is important to understand that the company is working not only on hardware, the software side is developing in parallel. Because a device with 4 screen segments requires a completely new approach to the interface. Applications must adapt in real time. The interface must smoothly rebuild depending on the form of the device. And this is exactly where Samsung has a serious advantage, since it has been working with flexible form factors for several years and accumulating experience that competitors do not yet have. And this is where the key moment of this entire story begins, because another player appears on the horizon: Apple, which, according to rumors, is preparing its own foldable smartphone, iPhone Fold. And if this device actually comes out in the near future, we will see a direct clash of two approaches. Apple traditionally bets on the perfect execution of a single idea. Samsung, on the other hand, acts differently. It experiments, expands boundaries, and tries to occupy several directions at once. And while Apple is only entering the foldable segment, Samsung is already moving to the next level. While one player is preparing its first foldable, another is already working on a four-fold device. This creates a very interesting dynamic, because the market starts moving faster, competition intensifies, and in the end, the user wins. But a logical question arises: how far is Samsung ready to go? Because with each new step, not only does the device become more complex, but so does its production. The price increases, new risks appear, and this is exactly where the fate of this technology will be decided. Will the company be able to make a four-fold device not just a demonstration of capabilities, but a mass-market product? According to preliminary data, there is still time before a commercial release. The technology is at the stage of development and testing, but the very fact that such devices already exist as prototypes says a lot. It means the industry is not standing still. It is moving forward, and doing so faster than many expected. If you look more broadly, it becomes clear that this is not just about new smartphones. It is about a shift in paradigm. The smartphone in its classic form is gradually approaching the limits of its development. Improvements are becoming less noticeable. The differences between generations are shrinking, and that is exactly why companies are searching for a new form factor, a new experience, a new reason to upgrade devices. Foldable technologies are one of those paths, and Samsung is currently at the forefront of this movement. It has already proven that it can create such devices, and now it is trying to take the next step, a step that could change everything. Imagine a device that you carry in your pocket like a regular phone, but when needed, you unfold it into a large screen. You use it for work, content consumption, gaming, communication, and then fold it back again. This is no longer just a smartphone. It is a next-generation personal computer. And if the four-fold device actually reaches the market, it could become the moment that divides the industry into before and after, because at that point, users will begin to perceive mobile devices differently, not as a fixed form, but as a transformable tool. Of course, many questions remain. How convenient will it be? How reliable will it be? How much will it cost? And is the market ready for such changes? But if the history of technology teaches us anything, it is that the biggest shifts always initially look strange and excessive. That is exactly why it is so important to watch what Samsung is doing right now, because the company is not just releasing new devices, it is testing the future, a future where the boundaries between categories disappear. And against this background, it is especially interesting to observe the reaction of competitors. Because if Samsung actually makes a four-fold device a working product, other companies will have to catch up. And this could trigger a new wave of innovation. Ultimately, everything comes down to one simple question: what will the device that replaces the smartphone look like? And there is a sense that the answer to this question is already beginning to take shape right now. Samsung continues to move forward, to experiment, to take risks, and possibly, this is exactly what will allow it to make the next big step in the industry. And all we can do is watch, because if even part of these insider reports turns out to be true, we are facing one of the most interesting upgrades in mobile technology of the last decade. And there is one more point that is almost never talked about, but it may turn out to be decisive in this entire story, because it is not only about the form of the device, but about how user behavior is changing. When you have a device in your pocket that can expand several times, you begin to use content differently. You switch less between devices. You depend less on a laptop or tablet, and this gradually changes the entire digital scenario of everyday life. Moreover, such a form factor opens completely new opportunities for developers. Applications can become dynamic, interfaces, adaptive not just to screen size, but to its shape at any given moment. As a result, we may find ourselves at a point where the familiar understanding of a smartphone finally disappears. It will stop being a screen in your pocket and turn into a universal tool that adapts to you. And if that happens, it is precisely such devices that will become the starting point of a new era of mobile technologies.